Hi, Jonty.
Hello, Sarah.
Nice to see you again. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, it's been a few months, I think, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Good, perfect. We're at 7:20 here, so I will do a quick introduction and then we'll get started. Thanks so much for joining, and thanks for joining our presentation here with the University of Melbourne. We have Jonty Hall, who is part of the recruitment team at the Faculty of Veterinary and Agricultural Sciences. So without further ado, I'll let you take it away, Jonty.
Thanks, Sarah. I might just share my screen, and I think my colleague Lorna is about to join to help with any questions as well. Just checking, can everyone see my screen? Sarah, if you could just give me an indication.
Yep, all good.
Excellent. All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. My name's Jonty, as Sarah said. I'm from the Faculty of Veterinary and Agricultural Sciences here at the University of Melbourne. And today, I really just want to give you guys an idea of what is involved in studying to become a veterinarian here in Melbourne. So yes, as you can see from the slide, we offer a DVM, which is similar to, I think, virtually all schools in the US and Canada. It's a 4-year degree, and our DVM is a professional veterinary qualification. It's accredited here in Australia, obviously, but also in the USA and Canada through the American Veterinary Medical Association, and in New Zealand, the United Kingdom, Hong Kong, Singapore, and through extension, potentially a number of other places as long as you meet local requirements. We've got 140 places roughly a year in this course, of which 50 are for international students at least. I think that's actually likely to grow in the next few years, but we reserve at least 50 places for internationals. We are the oldest vet school in Australia, which is kind of exciting. And we've also recently been fortunate to have some significant upgrades made to our facilities. So we have 2 main sites that we conduct our teaching on. One is our Parkville campus, the university's main campus. The other is our Werribee campus. And if you look in the picture behind where you can see me talking, that's actually the main learning and teaching building at Werribee campus, which is the home of Melbourne Veterinary School. A quick example of one of our students here, Margaret from Indonesia, recently graduated from her DVM, and yeah, she had a particular emphasis on working in animal welfare, and I think perhaps coming from her own background, growing up in Indonesia, she was concerned about vet med in the developing world in particular. We are a top 20 vet school, which we're very proud of. Most recently ranked 16th in the world by the QS subject rankings. More broadly, University of Melbourne has been consistently ranked the #1 university in Australia for I think about 8 or 9 years now in the Times Higher Education rankings, and currently sitting at 31st worldwide. So we are proud to be one of the world's leading universities, particularly in veterinary science. As I mentioned, we do have a degree that will let you work around the world. We are directly accredited in the 7 countries and regions you see listed there. So Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Hong Kong, USA, Canada, and the UK. But as I mentioned, it can often be possible to work elsewhere as long as you're prepared to jump through local hoops, which can vary a great deal between countries. So it's not something I'd be able to go into right now, but it's certainly is possible, depending on where you want to go. 4-year degree, our structure, I think, probably a bit different to some other unis. We do have at the moment a bit of an emphasis on perhaps more theoretical work in the first couple of years. There is some animal handling. However, animal handling is done in the context of non-clinical settings in the first couple of years. Often what we nickname farm work. So students do their extramural placements, which are helping out on farms, perhaps, or other settings where they're not directly involved in clinical work, to get more familiarity with animals. That often takes place during the summer holidays between first and second year, which would be, I guess, your winter up there. And apart from that, a lot of it's more, most of the lectures in the degree are in those first couple of years, and a lot of the theoretical background. There is still a fair amount of hands-on work, including lab work, but it's really in year 3 of the degree that students start to get heavily involved in learning clinical skills, including surgical skills, and they also get to choose their track, which is an informal specialisation of sorts in the degree. It allows you to choose the direction you go in when it comes to your clinical rotations, which take place from late in third year through to the end of your DVM. So the tracks we have are equine, which is horses, small animals, production animal, and then the government, industry and conservation health track, or GITCH as everyone refers to it at MVS, which is essentially a bit of a combination of issues relating to animal welfare and sort of government policy and things like that, with native wildlife, potentially exotic animals. It covers quite a few areas depending on, I guess, what you want to make of it. It's important to stress it doesn't matter what track you pick in terms of your professional accreditation, you will still be fully accredited no matter what, but the track choice does affect the balance of rotations and placements you do. So someone who chooses the equine track is going to work more with horses than other students who've chosen a different track. Fourth year, entirely lecture free, entirely hands-on and clinical. Essentially, you're kind of a veterinarian with training wheels on at this point. We do require that some of your placements are undertaken here with us in our Werribee Animal Hospital. However, the rest are largely up to you, as long as you choose, as long as you're able to set up your placements with accredited veterinarians. We do have staff that will help you with all of that, but suffice to say that students often do some of their rotations either elsewhere in Australia or overseas. And for students from Canada, I think particularly in the last few years, it's been quite popular to go home and do some of those placements back in Canada, particularly if you're planning to move home after you finish, because it does give you the opportunity to have some local experience prior to actually entering the job market. As I mentioned, we've got some beautiful new facilities. This probably doesn't quite do it justice just having a couple of photos, but in a nutshell, we have upgraded both the Parkville campus facilities and also Werribee, as I mentioned. This is the foyer in our new Western Edge Biosciences building at Parkville, and that's where you would spend the first part of your degree. We now have pretty much everything under one roof there at Parkville, so it's yeah, you don't need to wander too far in those first couple of years. And then at Werribee is also its own little environment. So it's quite a tight cohort experience. You'll spend a lot of time with the people that are in your DVM class with you. And then Werribee, you see here, these photos, some of them from inside the hospital, some outside the teaching building and outside the hospital entrance. We have a wide range of facilities at Werribee, including some of the areas you see listed there. And in particular, our equine centre is one of only a few specialist equine hospitals in Australia. So we do have some pretty good facilities there as well. Really is fairly comprehensive. There's not too many major areas that we don't cover. But yeah, if you do have a question, please let me know at the end of the presentation. As I mentioned, this is where you would spend all of third year at Werribee and also part of fourth year. You do actually go there a bit in the first couple of years as well, even though they're primarily at Parkville, but there are some trips down there. And this map here gives you a little bit of a snapshot, by no means comprehensive. This, I think, is actually a few years old now, but this is some of the locations that students have done their placements in final year. A lot in Australia, unsurprisingly, but you see a number of locations in the US and Canada as well. And yeah, there's nothing, just because there's not a dot where you think you want to go, that by no means means you can't go there. It may just mean that there were no students from Winnipeg or Saskatchewan or wherever it is in that particular year. So yeah, as long as you've got an accredited veterinarian, you're usually good to go. Graduate outcomes, yeah, you're essentially likely to be working as a veterinarian in about over 97% of cases as a new graduate. That's definitely why people are doing the degree. However, we do find that within a few years, students have often moved in at least part of their work into one of these other areas. So they might work part-time in a clinical setting and then also work in research. They might work in government, they might work in the agricultural industry or pharmaceuticals. There's quite a range of areas. And the ones who want to do further research and then teach the next generation may go on and do a PhD and then become academics. Our entry requirements, we do have prerequisite subject requirements, biology and biochemistry. If you want to know the nuts and bolts of that, I'd encourage you to get in touch through Sarah, and she can refer you to, I think she will have some of the lists that we use, but if not, she can refer them on to us and we'll double check for you. But we have essentially, those are the only two specific prerequisites. Other than that, we do require a fairly high level of achievement, a minimum of a 75% GPA, or I suppose if you're talking on a 4-point scale, it would normally be at least 3.2. And then we have other scales as well that we look at. As Sarah just posted there, if you email vet@oztrekk.com, Megan, who is the DVM expert at OzTREKK, is going to be able to help you with that as well. I should point out, at the moment, we assess science subjects only as part of the GPA. However, from 2023 onwards, that's due to change. So we will actually start including non-science results in your assessment as well. And one other thing I must mention is the CASPER test. We've introduced this as of this year's intake, the 2021 intake. For those of you who don't know, it's an online situational judgment test, and it does provide a bit of balance in the assessment process to ensure that applicants have got good people skills, good judgment, good ethics. It's not something you really have to prepare for, but do keep an eye out on our website, and we'll certainly let Sarah and Megan know about the dates. We have approved for CASPER for next year's intake once they're known, but they're likely to be from about, I think, July or August onwards this year. And here we see another one of our students, Ileana. She's graduated about 3 years ago, I think now, but Ileana was an equine track person and really enjoyed her time here in Melbourne. The personal statement as well, 500 words. It is strictly 500 words, so you do have to be succinct, but this is also your chance to talk about hands-on experience. So we don't require professional experience or volunteer experience, although most applicants do have some, but the personal statement is your chance to have that recognised. It is only worth up to 4 bonus points, so the grades that you submit are still a lot more important in terms of your chances for getting in. I think I'm pretty much out of time, so hopefully that has covered most of what you guys were interested in hearing about, but I will be back in the main chat room shortly, so if you want to chat, please come there, or drop Sarah a line. We'll be able to get in touch, I'm sure.
Yeah, we have time to answer. There's one question that just popped in from Stephen, so if you want to answer that one, then that would be awesome.
Sure. So Stephen's asked, with the current situation around COVID, how much of year 1 and 2 are online? That's a great question, Stephen. Our commencing students this year, which includes a number of Canadian students, are beginning their semester online more or less as we speak. Semester 1 started this week. At the moment, we're very firmly hopeful that by this time next year, we will be allowing students back into Australia. There's still some hope that that may happen for mid-year, but until the government tells us, we really don't know. So possibly by July, but really most of our planning at the moment is assuming that we'll be able to have students here by in a year from now, especially now that people are getting vaccinated. But I guess your guess is sort of as good as ours at this point. Until we know more, we can't say for sure, but we will definitely let you know the second that we do have news on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Melbourne always keeps Megan up to date with any news about that. So if you are in touch with OzTREKK and Megan, you will get some notices about that too when the time comes. So as Jonathan said, if you do have any more questions, head over to Career Echo into the Melbourne chat room and feel free to answer any more questions that you might have. But otherwise, thank you so much for sharing all of that and for your time tonight. And I hope everyone has a good rest of your night at the virtual fair.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.